Hello, how you doing? It's Phil Thatch and I'm here at the UTC Arena. Heather and I are going to be shooting some men's basketball today. I'm in the restroom because there's really loud copyrighted music every place else in this place, so I couldn't make a clip. But I'm going to use the Sony a6700 and the amazing Samyang 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8, and Heather is going to use her R7 and the 24 to 70 2.8. Hope you enjoy it. All right, I started out with the Samyang, as you can see up here in the top left, the Samyang 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8. I shot it during the entire first half. Here's the jump ball, 62 millimeters f2.5. I was wide open the whole time, so whatever aperture you see here is the wide open aperture at whatever millimeters you see here. And at 62, it's 2.5. I shot at 1/800th auto ISO, and I used exposure compensation minus 1/3 and sometimes 2/3 of a stop. You can really get some nice out of focus backgrounds with this lens. Here's 111 millimeters at 2.8 of one of the basketball players coming down the court. He is completely off the ground in this shot, but when the action gets really close, sometimes with an APS-C camera, it's almost too tight of a shot. This is 35 millimeters wide open at f2. But sometimes having that tight shot is really nice, like this free throw here at 114 millimeters. Here's a 51 millimeter shot, and this is all the way across the court because I'm sitting under the basket on the far side from where this gentleman is shooting his three-pointer. Here's a 35 millimeter shot of some action under the hoop. Here's another 35 millimeter shot. I got his feet cut off at the bottom and his hair cut off at the top. Now this lens would be perfect on a full frame camera, but I'm on APS-C, so 35 millimeters is really 52.5 millimeters full frame equivalent. Now this 35 millimeter shot turned out just fine, f2. Here's another shot at 35 millimeters f2, and another in that same sequence. It always amazes me how those cheerleaders hold the other cheerleader up so high off the hard wood floor. Here's another 35 millimeter shot f2 and a 56 millimeter shot at 2.2, and as you can see, I'm too tight here. I've got the basketball cut off. Still kind of a nice shot, I thought. I do love the close shots you can get though. Here's a 131 millimeter shot at f2.8, and here's a 150 millimeter shot of this gentleman about to make a free throw. 44.3 millimeters, got a timeout going on and the coach is drawing up some plays. Okay, now we are in the second half and I've changed lenses. I've gone to the wonderful little Sigma lens. It's the 18 to 50 continuous f2.8. So that gives me a 27 to 75 millimeter full frame equivalent field of view, and this is a 50 millimeter shot, so it would have been 75 to make this shot on a full frame camera. Here's another 50 millimeter shot, but this is what I really like about that wider lens. This 18 millimeter shot, or 27 millimeters full frame equivalent, I've got all the action under the hoop, including the basketball and all the players, and even some of the players on the left-hand side of the frame looking on. But there's not as much separation between the players in the background with this lens, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. In some ways I like it better, and in some ways it's not as good. 50 millimeter shot at 2.8. I like this shot because it shows the scoreboard in the background, and you can see the Chattanooga Mocs are losing right now by 4 to the Tennessee Tech Eagles, but they do come back. I love this shot. He's so high off the ground. Look how high up he is with his hand at the rim about to make a layup. Here's a 25 millimeter shot of some action under the hoop. 25.3 millimeters coming in for the shot. On this shot, I actually laid the camera on the hardwood, just on the ground, and I made a shot as a timeout was breaking up, as the players were about to go back onto the floor and the ones who aren't playing currently are heading back to the bench. I just like the angle of this shot. One day I'll try to use this camera angle to make some shots of actual action on the floor. Here's a free throw at 41.6 millimeters. 33.9 millimeters as this gentleman is charging to the hoop, completely off the ground. High off the ground for some layup action at 18 millimeters. Another 18 millimeter shot. And this is a pass. 77 was driving to the hoop and he got double teamed, and when he did, that left number 25 wide open. So he jumped off the ground and threw it to number 25. Here's a 42.9 millimeter shot of 5 cheerleaders being held high off the hardwood floor by 5 other cheerleaders. 25.4 millimeter layup action. Here's a jump shot. Here's another free throw, and this is not all the way to 18 millimeters. This is 23.1, and with that I'm still able to get all the players surrounding or running into the key at this point and the ball in the air and the bottom of the net to give you some perspective. This is a rebound that's going on under the hoop. Here's another free throw, a little bit closer this time at 26.8 millimeters. I think number 2 was trying to guard number 4 who's taking this shot, and he fell down, and number 5 came over to try to stop him, but I believe he made this shot. If you look at the scoreboard in the background, you can see that there's 1.3 seconds left in the game, and the Mocs are leading 66-63, and they have a player shooting free throws. I think the final score was 68-63, Chattanooga. So he must have made both of his free throws. And this is a 36-shot handheld panorama. I just blasted it at maximum frames per second, slowly from the right to the left, and asked Lightroom to stitch it, and it did. So there you have it, a panorama of the cheer and dance teams. All right, here are Heather's photos. She used the Canon R7, and she used the RF 24-70 f2.8L ISUSM. What a fantastic lens that she used. And that gives her a 38.4 millimeters to 112 millimeter full frame equivalent. Let's take a look at what she got. Here is the tip off. You can see her settings are up here in the top left as well. I believe she said that she used minus 2/3 of a stop exposure compensation, and we both shot at 1/800th, and she's wide open at f2.8 for all these shots. And that is an absolutely premium lens. It has no trouble shooting wide open at all. She's got number 77 driving to the hoop here at 54 millimeters. Number 25 is taking a nice shot from the perimeter. Here's a girl on the dance team at 70 millimeters. Number 34 is getting set to drive to the hoop, or maybe pass. Number 22 being defended by Tennessee Tech's number 23. The action gets intense as they're driving to the hoop. A lot of close quarters contact action. I think this may be in that same sequence as number 34 is driving in and getting a shot here. Heather said this is one of her favorite shots of the whole game, of everybody reaching up for the basketball right by the hoop. A very tight shot, 60 millimeters. Here's number 70 working on a play. This is a really cool shot, 24 millimeters of this player driving to the basket right in front of Heather, who was sitting crisscross on the floor. Here's number 34 driving to the hoop. Even at 24 millimeters, when they're this close to you, you can't get the entire player in the shot. I may have been able to get the whole player in the shot with the Sigma lens at 18, maybe. 46 millimeters of number 77. I think he's the point guard on the team. Really intense action here. Love this shot. Looks like number 2, instead of watching the ball, is watching the player's eyes in both of these shots. That's pretty cool. That's a nice shot. And now we're back out at the perimeter trying to set up a play, trying to make a layup here while heavily defended. And another one here. Free throw. This is the angle you can get of a free throw at 24 millimeters on the 1.6 crop R7. Heather's got this shot of number 3 driving to the basket from the other side of the goal, which it's hard to get shots on that side of the goal from where we are told to sit because often there's a player in the way. Here's an up close shot of number 10 driving to the hoop. Things get dicey sometimes when you're driving to the basket. Here's a 43 millimeter shot of one of the Chattanooga players making a move, and a 45 millimeter shot of number 77. You can see the coach in the background shouting directions. 46 millimeter shot of number 77. Number 3 is completely off the ground here as he's about to make a pass. And speaking of off the ground, I believe that's number 4 making a shot at the basket. Here's a little bit tighter shot of a free throw. Heather wasn't able to get quite as tight at 70 millimeters as I could with the Samyang 35-150. I like this 50 millimeter shot of number 3 driving to the basket. Here's a 24 millimeter shot of number 34. I think he's about to make a shot here. Here's a 70 millimeter shot. Another Chattanooga player driving to the basket. I like the backboards being made of glass so you can see the basketball through them. Here's number 77 making his way to the basket, and he continues. Here's another 70 millimeter free throw shot. Sometimes if you can just catch a player by themselves that's not being blocked by other players, you go ahead and take the shot. Scrappy, the UTC mascot, posed for Heather. Here's a 57 millimeter shot of a pass about to be made. Looks like number 10 is about to shoot a three-pointer here. Heather made a shot of the dance team that comes out during timeouts. Here's a 70 millimeter shot. Here's a heavily defended jump shot that Heather made, 39 millimeters. 50 millimeter shot in the paint. A 61 millimeter shot of the action high above the floor. Here's a 42 millimeter shot out near the three-point line. This is a cool shot that Heather got during the timeout. Everybody's surrounding the coach, but there was enough of a gap to where Heather could get the coach in the shot. And this is the final free throws of the game. You can't see the time left on the clock because he's blocking it, but this is when there was 1.3 seconds left in the game. And UTC won. That was a lot of fun, and Heather and I have kind of been a curse for this team because a lot of times when we come to shoot Chattanooga basketball, they lose, but tonight they won. They were behind by 13 at one point, came back and won, so that was really, really awesome. And we're ready to go home, work on these pictures that you've already seen. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell. Bye-bye.